I think that this lesson is really well. I had never done it. I've been exploring it the past couple of days, and I keep running into new and wonderful lessons. Um, and wow, for me, this lesson was quite profound, quite profound. Going to add it to the. I'm going to put it in the archives of the greatest lessons of all time. LP. Um, so, but
May
what?
I just quickly interject? Greetings from Carol Waters,
Oh,
who says she misses everyone and wants to be remembered.
oh, we remember her. Yes. Oh,
Hi, Carol. Tell her greetings back.
Will do.
Sure.
yeah. I'll have to check in on her. So let's see. Let's start in standing.
She said as she watched me try to lie down.
Let's start in standing. It's all about reversibility. Remember. So, and let's return to that place we were. I believe we examined ourselves a few weeks ago in the idea of where do you carry your past, right? And that shifted for I think almost everyone at the end of the lesson. So is the past that something you step away from? It's behind you. Maybe it surrounds you like a bubble. Maybe you stand on it, or maybe it hovers above you. Maybe it lives inside of you somewhere and you experience it as an emotion, depending on the past. So just reflect on that for a moment. And then bring yourself into your physical selves, and you're standing as you are, and just begin to notice your forward self and your back self. And your right self and your left self. And in between this place of right and left, there's a middle that's not right and it's not left. So could you hang out in this place for a moment? It's not right and it's not left. And then please come down onto your backs. Then stretch your legs out comfortably and long and have your arms down long by your sides. And sense your relationship with the floor. We've been asking these questions about the floor in these lessons, how we relate to it, how it speaks to us, how we take it for granted, how it's always there, how we can rest on it, how we push away from it, how we use the floor to be able to move. If we didn't have the floor, well, if we didn't have the floor, how might you turn to the right or to the left? I've read about astronauts training in anti-gravity, and I believe they only have to think of it. And if they move too quickly, they'll launch themselves across the spacecraft and crash into one wall. So they have to learn to move very, very internally. So could you come to roll as though you were going to come up to sit on one side? So which way would you choose to roll towards? And pay attention to all the pieces. We've been playing with this in the lesson. So do you roll to the right or to the left? What are the various pieces, and in what order do you do things to come up to sit? Which side did you choose? Really pay attention to how you use the floor to come up and how you use the floor to come back down. Until all those pieces and parts and feelings, sensations, pressure and non-pressure, lifting, becomes very familiar, and maybe a bit easier, a bit smoother each time. So that you're not falling, you don't abandon yourself to the floor, and you're not in peril. You're not in peril. You're safe. And then rest on your back the next time you're there. And sense that side. How does it feel different than the other side? And then please roll to come to sit on the other side. And pay attention to all the pieces. How do you prepare? How do you breathe? How do you lower yourself back down safely? Several times. How is this side different from the other? Do you remember the past? In the present moment, as you're comparing? As you continue playing with rolling to sit on this side, does it become more like the other side, or is it something completely different? A different animal, apples and oranges. Where do you look with your eyes? How do you turn your head? How is your environment, the space you're in? How does that determine how you move? How you shape yourself to fit in your environment? And rest on your back. And now sense how this side feels. Do you feel more connected to it? And shift your awareness to the right side of yourself. And then to the left side of yourself. And then that place in the middle. Where is that place in the middle? Let's get very clear on this place that's neither right nor left. So could you take one of your index fingers and place it on the very highest part of your head? The top of your head that's the highest, in the middle, right in the middle. The top of the skull, where you would wear a hat, not the forehead, but the top of the skull. Somewhere where you'd part your hair. And then from that point, could you draw a line with your finger right down the middle of your forehead and in between your eyes, and along the middle of the bridge of your nose, and around the tip of your nose and down to where the angel kisses you and you forget every past life you ever had, down the middle of your lips, the middle of your chin, and down the middle of your throat. And then could you imagine that line? Could you imagine that line? Just rest your arm beside you on the floor and imagine that line again. From the top of the head, it's bisecting your face into a right and a left. And notice as you come down more towards the chin, towards the throat, if you were to continue that line, would it be in the middle? Or is it off to one side? So let's play with the idea of a plane, let's say a plane of glass. A plane of glass, something transparent that could drop down from the ceiling and go right through. Well, what would it go through first? What is the highest point? The first thing to touch the edge of the glass, would it be your nose? Would it be your chest? Would it be your abdomen? Would it be your chin? So if that pane of glass, that transparent something was coming to go right down the middle of you, in your sensation, what would you need to do to make maybe little adjustments so that the top of the pane of glass and the part that comes out through the floor are completely vertical? So is the middle of your chin in the middle of your chest? Does that pane, that transparent pane of glass, bisect the middle of the chin? Maybe not. What little adjustments might you make to feel a true sense of center line, that the pane of glass goes through the breastbone and out the middle of the floor and into the earth behind you? And what about the belly, the navel, the center of your pubic bone? Where does the pane of glass, how is it oriented in the earth behind you, relating to the front of you towards the sky? And then could you take your right hand and place it on the pane of glass? Could you take your right hand and place it on the pane of the glass in such a way that the heel of the hand, all the fingertips, the palm of the hand and the thumb, all of them are touching this transparent pane that's in your center? And could you begin to explore this pane with your hand? So how would you move your hand to explore the surface that is bisecting you? You could move your hand towards and away from you. What does that mean? You can go forward, up towards the sky, down towards your body. And each finger pad and the thumb are all lightly touching the pane of glass with exactly the same pressure. The hand is flat. You can feel the coolness, the smoothness of the texture. You can move the hand away from you down towards your pubic bone, or even overhead, past your head and above you. Just explore the pane of the glass. Be very precise about your contact of your hand, all your finger pads. Rest your arm down. Bring your arm again, bring your right arm up again and touch your right hand to the pane of the glass that's in the center. And can you begin to make some circles like you're washing a window? You're washing a window, and you can make small circles, you can make large circles, but make them slowly so that you can feel how the floor supports this movement. How does the floor support the movement of the arm? Could you make this circle in a way that uses the floor a little bit more? So if you were to reach up towards the ceiling and extend your arm, what part of you would you push into the floor to help the arm extend? And as you bring the hand down towards the foot, what do you do with your ribs? What might you do with your neck? What might you do with your pelvis? And let's rest the arm. And bring your right foot, bring your right foot to turn, the sole of the foot, to turn to look at the pane of glass. And how did you just do that? Go down and do it again. So you didn't know what I was asking for. So there's the pane of glass, and there's the sole of your foot. And there are so many nerve endings in the sole of the foot. You can sense the pane of the glass with the sole of the foot. How do you draw your leg into you? And how do you orient the sole of the foot into the pane of glass and begin to explore the pane of glass with the sole of your foot? And the foot doesn't have to come very far away from the floor if that is difficult for you at first. But notice how you draw the weight of the leg towards you and how you orient the sole of the foot like all little heat-seeking sensors, little satellite dishes, all turning towards this pane of glass. And what do you do? Do you lift the leg just in the hip joint, or might you do something with your pelvis or your ribs? Just explore different patterns of movement. As long as you're rubbing the pane of the glass with the foot, there's a lot of different patterns you could make. And before you get tired, of course, you set the leg down and rest. Before you get tired, before we want to break this habit of enduring suffering. Or rather, we want to replace it with something that's so much more delightful that we don't need to do it anymore. I believe it was Mark Twain that said, "You lead your habit downstairs one step at a time." And then show at the door. Take a rest. Sense the sensation in the right side of your body. The right hand, the palm of the hand and the sole of the foot. Strong neurological connections there. Do they sense each other? How does the right side of you feel connected? And then move your attention over to the other side. What's lying on the other side of the pane of the glass? So how does that side compare? Did it somehow get left behind? Is it less bright? And then go to the place that's neither right nor left and rest there. Rest all of your attention and focus in that place that's neither left nor right. How long does it take you to get there? What is it like to be in that place? And can you bring your left hand now to the center line and explore the pane of glass from this side? So first, the fingertips, or all the fingertips touching the pane of glass with the same pressure, the thumb, the palm, the heel of the hand. Really sense that exact contact and what you do with yourself as you're imagining arranging your fingers in such a precise way. And then as you begin to slowly, with curiosity, explore the glass, with keeping the whole palm of the hand in contact with the pane of glass. And of course, your arm is moving, the muscles of your arm are moving your hand around. There's a lot of imagination required in this lesson, a lot of visualization. What could you do? How might you recruit other parts of yourself to move your hand? So how might you use the floor with your spine? When does the curve behind your neck become greater or become smaller as you're exploring? You can move the hand way down or way up. And how might you use your pelvis? Or even, do you remember, I think it was last week, we were flexing and extending the ankles. How might you use an ankle to support the movement of the hand exploring. The movement of the ankle might inform something about the movement of your hand to your pelvis. The floor is talking to you all the time. You just need to listen to it. Just tune in to the floor. You're aware of the pane of glass. You're aware of the exactness, the precision of the movement, the contact, the temperature of the glass beneath your hand. But behind you, there's the floor that's enabling you to move. And rest your arm down. Turn the sole of your left foot to look at the pane of glass. And do that a few times. Just how do you turn the leg? How do you bring it into you? And how can you make it? Remember, we've been focusing these past several weeks on the feeling of lightness and effortlessness, which we can really only achieve when we use ourselves as an integrated whole and things are in balance. So play with that quality, turning as you turn the foot towards the pane of glass, and all the toe pads and the heel and the ball of the foot can touch the coolness of the pane of glass, and then you can move the leg up towards the ceiling, the foot up towards the ceiling, and back down towards the floor. You can move it away from you, and you can move it towards you. Where do you sense the most ease? How bent does your knee need to be? How much might you need to roll the rest of you to the left to accommodate a feeling of comfort in your left hip joint? Could you begin to make circles in one direction with the sole of the foot wiping the pane of glass? And then could you reverse that? Of course, you can rest a moment, refresh your senses, and then make a few circles around with the sole of the foot the other direction. How might you employ your pelvis or your ribs? When does the back of the knee, the distance between the floor and the back of the right knee, become greater or smaller? The back of the neck. Could you use your head somehow to help the movement? The shoulder girdle, the arms, all these places resting on the floor can get a purchase on the floor, on your mat, and assist your leg, your foot in wiping the pane of glass. Let's take a rest. Where are you resting? Are you resting in the right side or more in the left? Can you come to the place that's neither right nor left and hang out there? can you bring the palm of your right hand and the sole of your right foot to touch the pane of glass? And how are you going to do that? The sole of the foot and the palm of the hand, and just begin to explore, moving them away from you up towards the ceiling, forward, and then down towards the floor. Just away from you and down, just sliding up and down, moving together, wiping in a straight line. And then could you bring them more towards your face and away? We could call this up and down, up towards the top of the head and down. Flexion and extension. And then could you begin to make circles? Rest as you need to, take as many rests as you need to. But when you're ready, looks like we all need a rest. So when you're ready, bring your foot in your hand to the center line, touching the pane of glass, and begin to make circles. And which way did you choose to make the circle first? Is it a circle like a wheel, in the plane of a wheel? And can you move the foot and the hand together as though they were connected by a stick? As though there was a stick between them, and they move exactly together, as they move not opposing one another, but they move in this mechanistic way, like two wheels on a car, travel at the same rate, hopefully. In the best situation, the two wheels of your car will be traveling at the same rate. And resting as you need to, then go the other direction. Roll the wheels the other direction. And are you just using the arm and the leg and the hip joint, or might there be a way? Or maybe you could employ your left ankle as the foot goes up and away from you and the hand goes up and away from you. You could pull the toes of your left foot towards you and employ the heel against the floor in a way that would support the movement. There we go. Support the movement of the pelvis. Rolling under and away supports the movement of the leg. You don't have to make many, many movements. You can make one or two or three and then take a rest. Remember, this is not about endurance, it's about learning. How we can better pull all the pieces of ourselves into a whole and be united within ourselves. If you haven't already done so, could you go the other direction? And if you've already done that, then what if you took the circles in opposing directions? How would you do that? So as the foot goes away from you, the hand comes towards you, and as how there's different combinations in this idea. And be very clear, the sole of the foot and the palm of the hand on the pane of glass. And could you reverse that pattern? If the wheels were moving away from each other, could they roll towards each other? Maybe that makes more sense to your system. And remember, confusion means you're learning something new. So let's take a rest. Let's take a rest. And sense the right side of you. What are the sensations in the sole of the foot, of the right foot, and the palm of the right hand? Compare the right side of you to the left side of you. And then come to that place that's neither right nor left. And then could you, in your mind, could you transfer the information, the experience of your right side, making those circles with the heel of the hand and the palm of the hand and the sole of the foot? Could you transfer that over into your left side in your imagination? And then come back to the place that's neither right nor left and rest there. And now sense the two sides, the right side, the left side. How's the left side doing? Is it catching up? Is it feeling more a part of you? Your left leg, your left arm are part of you. And then could you begin to explore a few movements of bringing the left sole of the foot and the left hand, the palm of the hand, onto the imaginary pane of glass and begin to make a few circles. And play with the various possibilities here. The wheels moving together in one direction or the opposite, or the opposite of that. Circles that are not turning the same direction, but they relate to each other. The circles relate to each other. The timing relates to each other. As the foot goes down, maybe the hand goes up. As the foot comes towards you, maybe the hand goes towards the foot. But there is a relationship that the palm of the hand and the sole of the foot have with each other. The timing, their relationship. Let's take a rest. And rest in the place that's neither right nor left. And now could you take both the palms of your hands and touch the pane of glass in such a way that the right index finger and the left index finger are exactly opposite each other. Each pad of each finger is exactly opposite. Without looking, without using your eyes to look, can you sense the thumbs, the index fingers, the middle finger, the ring finger, the pinky, touching the glass in such a way they're so close together that you can feel the heat from your hands, but they don't touch. There's something almost like when you put the magnets together and they can't touch. That kind of feeling there. The hands not touching. And can you begin to move the hands together and wipe each side of the glass in any pattern that you can think of? They can go up towards the ceiling, down towards your body. They can go over your head, down towards your feet, as long as they stay exactly together in the center plane that's bisecting you. You can move them in a linear fashion. Remember the prayer lesson we've done in the past, raising the arms up and down. And they don't always have to circle. They can just move through space in a wide arc or in a line. But notice how the lines become arcs because the joints are round. And how might you employ the floor behind you to move the arms? Make it easier. How might you use your heels against the floor? How might you use your pelvis to support the movement, or your back, or the back of your neck, or the pressure of your head? What about the chest, the front of the chest, the front of the belly? How could you use that to help you use the floor? Exactly in the middle, exactly together. And rest down. Could you bring the soles of both feet to touch the pane of glass? And bring them back down. Lengthen the legs again and bring them again to touch the pane of glass. And let's start from an easier takeoff place. Let's stand both the feet. Stand both the feet on the floor. And from this place, can you orient the soles of each foot towards each other and onto the pane of glass? And how do you bring the legs into you? How do you bring them away from the floor? Let's make it easier. Can you interlace your fingers and bring both hands behind your head? And bring your elbows up towards the ceiling. Wait. We're getting ahead of it. Your head is still on the floor. Your feet are standing on the floor. And now, can you bring the soles of the feet onto the pane of glass at exactly the same moment? They leave the floor at exactly the same moment. So it's not opening the knees and leaving the feet on the floor. It's bringing the feet away from the floor to look at each other and onto the pane of glass. And what if you were to lift your head at the exact moment At the exact moment you lift the feet, this is the study. And what if the right foot and the left foot left the floor at exactly the same moment? The soles of the feet and the head. Listen to the floor. Listen to the floor. The soles of the feet and the back of the hands come away from the floor at exactly the same moment, and they set down at exactly the same moment. And unless they can do that, you don't have true reversibility. And we want this reversibility. We want this reversibility in us so that we are prepared and we're not dependent on the floor catching us. We catch ourselves. So play with this timing. It doesn't have to be a big lift. It's not about an ab crunch. Although you might find that as the feet come closer to you and maybe closer to the ceiling, it gets easier. Because a short lever is easier to lift than a long lever. If you have a long enough lever, you can move the earth. Set the soles of the feet down on the floor at exactly the same moment, and then bring them away from the floor and towards the pane of glass at exactly the same moment. How do you use the spine against the floor? How do you use your ribs? How do you breathe? How do you organize your chest? Before you lift anything, how do you get ready so that the lifting, remember we've been playing with this feeling of lightness. You get ready to lift, and then you lift the feet and you place them on the glass and you lift the head and it's light. The feet are light, the head is light, the core is working and the floor is supporting you. Can you find that feeling of light feet and light head? And they leave together and they come onto the floor. As you bring the legs down, bring the soles of the feet onto the floor. Bring the soles of the feet onto the floor when you set the feet down. Then you can feel that the soles have arrived on the floor. And then the soles of the feet turn towards each other. And they lift away together. How do you prepare for north and south to blow towards each other and just levitate from the floor and come together? Take a rest. Good, good. Where are you hanging out? Inhabit that place that's neither right nor left. Can you stand both your feet? And bring your hands onto the pane of glass. Exactly, each fingertip relating to the other fingertip, but not touching. And can you bring both soles of your feet to the pane of glass? And begin to move your arms and your legs in as many combinations as you find delightful. Like a baby discovering how to move for the first time, just playing, just playing. You can go up towards the ceiling and down towards you. They can go away from you. They can go long. They can go short. But they relate to each other, and they relate to the pane of glass. And you could lift the head. You could not lift the head. Rest as you need to. When you rest, rest in the place that's neither right nor left. And when you're ready, come again, stand your feet, stand your feet. Bring your hands under the pane of glass. Bring your soles of your feet into you and onto the pane of glass. And begin to just explore different circles and different patterns. Maybe the right hand and the right foot move together, but the left hand and left foot move differently. Maybe the circle's like riding a bicycle or being on what is that machine called? The elliptical. But very precisely, like paddling. What if one side went up towards the ceiling as the other side went down towards you? What sort of creatures come to mind, or what sort of mechanical inventions might come to mind as you play with these different relationships? What sort of actions that you have done in the past as we now explore the present moment? And who knows what this is going to do for the future? Pause with your feet standing on the floor. And your arms can rest down. Now the next part is going to be in the imagination, but we'll go into the position to imagine it. So we're going to bring the hands together in the pane of glass and draw the legs into you and the soles of the feet oriented towards the pane of glass, away from the floor, in the air. The feet are in the air, the knees are towards the elbows are towards the knees. You find a place of balance there. And imagine that the toes and the fingertips and the head all lift together. Actually do it a couple of times. Lift the feet and the arms and the head all together to lengthen towards the ceiling. So the legs go up, the arms go up, and the head goes up, as though there was a sheet, a blanket. You're all in your blankets, and somebody comes and gathers the four corners together and pulls them straight up, and you're in the bag. You're in the bag. Now, can you imagine doing that 5 times explosively? Just imagine it as though your feet and hands and head are like rockets, and that movement could actually bounce you off the floor 5 times. Eject yourself. Boom, boom, boom. Extend everything extends up in your mind, And leave it and rest on your back with your legs long and your arms down. And rest in the place that's neither right nor left. And now if you sense the pane of glass bisecting you through the nose and the forehead and the chin and out the back of the head, is it right underneath the head now? Is it a little closer? What about the place bisecting the sternum out the back, the belly, through the pubic bone, the middle of the pelvis, the back of the sacrum? So we're comparing right and left when we imagine the pane of glass. Now, can you go back to the place that's neither right nor left? So is there more a sense, what is your sense? Is there more a sense of liveliness or vitality anywhere? A sense of balance or peace? If you were to roll to the right or roll to the left to come to sit, as we did earlier, how would that be for you now? Would you feel more united in yourself? Would it be more complete as you roll to the right or roll to the left? And you can go back down and roll to the other side and come to sit. And play with this idea, even though you're rolling to the right, rolling to the left, coming through the center. You could also play with this idea of there's neither right nor left, and you're just coming to sit. And what is that like? And then if you come to stand on your 2 feet, where is your past now? Is it even there? How will you move forward from this place into the future? What is that place like that's neither right nor left? How does it feel to inhabit that? And then moving around, can move about or not. What's your sense? How do you inhabit yourself? So if you'd like to share or talk about your experience, I always love that. I found this to be such a profound lesson for me. When I did it, my center line was actually not in the center. It was to the left. It was like it went through my left eye. And at the end of the lesson, it had moved over somewhat. But regardless of what your, let's say how your spine is related. There's a, maybe the line is not in the middle, but there's a sense of up and down. There's a sense of equilibrium, even if it's not in the center. So how was that for you, for anyone who wants to share? Or maybe
Alice, with my left knee being the worst of the two, it was really clear to me that I was centered in the top, like my head was okay. I could find that center line pretty well, but as it got closer to my waist and the legs, that the inflammation, the swelling from the left shifted my center more to the right on the lower part of my body.
Isn't that interesting? It's fascinating.
So I've been using all these concepts this week a lot to try and figure out how to move and how to find a comfortable place to be.
Right.
So I really appreciate that you've been teaching this, because I've been employing it and marveling at the body's wisdom of being able to let go someplace else so that I didn't have to bend the knee in order to move and that kind of thing. So I've been trying to stay in the interesting science part. It's less painful.
Yes, absolutely. Curiosity.
Yep.
Anyone else?
I just found that trying to move, trying that the two halves and also the upper and lower, I could move the two halves as long as the upper and lower part were going in the same directions.
Mm-hmm.
Once I tried to move the leg and the arm in opposite directions, they'd go part way, but then they'd get back together. They just wanted to be together on each side, wanted to move together. And, you know, I could move the two sides opposite from each other as long as the leg and arm on each side were moving in the same direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, strong patterns. That's how strong our patterns are. That's
Yeah.
how strong our patterns are. Yeah, yeah. And it's just you know, just trying, just imagining, just experimenting with trying something different. It's an opening. And you might be surprised if you go back maybe tomorrow and lie down and just play with this a little bit. You might find that, something clicked. Just in that little opening got more and more and more and more throughout the course of the day. So yeah, that'd be interesting. Anyone else?
I think the pane of glass became much more solidified and real toward the end than it was in the beginning for me. I could just visualize it really clearly.
So I'm sorry, you said the pane of glass got?
Yeah, I could visualize it at the end clearly, whereas in the beginning it was more of a concept.
Oh, yeah. So it got easier to visualize.
Yeah, I could see and feel it going through the center.
Press your chat button, Alice. I
Yes,
think that Christine.
yeah, I'm seeing that something came through. And what does it say? Oh, it's gone. Shoot.
She said, I liked rubbing my feet on the floor so I could get a sensation similar to the feet against the glass. I remembered Feldenkrais where the practitioner FIs. I remembered FIs. Is there something different there?
FIs are the private work. It stands for functional integration, the one-on-one.
Where the practitioner used a clipboard on the bottom of my feet.
Sign off.
Signing off.
I'm off, you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Good seeing y'all.
Good.
Bye.
Bye.
I hope.
Bye.
Thank you, Alice.
Thanks.
Thanks, Alice.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you.
Okay.